Today we're gonna talk about excuses. I think with everything that has happened this week, with the weather, with you being sick,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good excuse.
yeah.
and
I did not cold plunge after I said I would. I bought the
I
ice
know.
one, but then I was in bed sick the whole time.
I was gonna tell you, and then I saw the message when it was saying, "I'm sick. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh, you didn't cold plunge," you know.
That might have ended me at that moment.
Yeah, probably, or maybe not.
So before we start criticizing excuse makers, I would like us to all realize that we are all excuse
Oh,
makers.
absolutely.
Yes.
And even the best, most high-performing, most successful person on the planet are still excuse makers every day. So before we start criticizing, just
Like that's the
as long as we understand that every human on the planet is an excuse maker, before we enter into this conversation,
Yeah,
I think we're going to be all right.
yeah, you're right. Because we don't want to completely vilify
Now,
making excuses.
it's the level in which your
Yeah.
excuses are made,
And
right?
how do we formulate as many of those excuses as possible into reasons rather than excuses?
Okay.
Well, reasons can cloak excuses.
Yes.
Like, we can say they're reasons and they're really just excuses. A lot of reasons are excuses.
Yeah.
A lot.
Sometimes I reason with myself on why I'm not doing something, but in my heart I know it's an excuse.
But it becomes an excuse when your reason is solvable.
Yes.
And it just takes more time, right? So the reason I can't do this is because I haven't done this, and this. Okay? So that's the reason. But if I don't fix the things that are causing the reason, now it is an excuse.
It becomes
For
I can't
I
do
have
it.
to do these 10
Yeah.
things. The reason I can't do this is because I don't have all these things. Okay? Now, am I willing to work and get all these 10 things to eliminate the reason? No. Now it's a fucking excuse.
But we also
God, I told you I was going to
layer excuses. Like I could think, so here's what I mean. Like I'm not going to go to the gym today because I really need to work on my running and I prefer to run outside.
Yeah, well, you prefer to,
I prefer to run outside, so I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm just going to run at home.
but you didn't.
Oh, it's snowing. The roads are probably slick. I'm not going to run. But that doesn't, so many people don't go back to, all right, I'm headed to the gym. It's, all right, I'll make it up later. I'll make it up later. Like in the Marine Corps, there was always a big joke on that. Yeah.
That was horrible. It's okay. I'm just gonna put him. That was so bad. I was looking at it on the corner of my eye.
That's the second time hearing this. So there was a running joke where I would tell guys that worked late, I'd be like, "We'll get you on the back end," and they would always laugh because they know nobody's coming back. And
Yeah.
I mean, I did my best to make sure everybody got the time off
Yeah.
that they deserved, but mission comes first no matter what. And we do that to ourselves when we say like, "I'll get it on the back end," and we should be laughing because chances are we're not.
Well,
How do you make up miles? That's not an easy feat on top of what you still have to do.
no, you just don't let yourself get behind.
Yeah.
No, I like something that you do, and every time I'm trying to break a habit or do something negative, I say, if you allow it one time, it's easier the next time.
Absolutely.
So now I've been like, okay, just don't open that door. If you don't open that door, tomorrow it's easier to leave it closed,
You're setting precedents. Like in courts, whenever a judge makes a determination, it is based off of previous cases. And now his case, when he makes that judgment, goes into that packed stack of cases that future law comes back and references for that precedent. When you allow yourself to take a shortcut or allow someone around you to take a shortcut or make excuses to their detriment, that becomes precedent.
You don't say.
That becomes something that,
Are you saying internally for myself, if I allow it once, it becomes precedence and it's easier to do the next time?
if you don't take care of it,
No, I agree with you 100%.
yeah, and it's not undoable, like unfixable. Like you can, but it takes
It's a
recognizing.
lot of hard to get back.
It is, and it takes a concerted effort of thinking about your actions, thinking about your decisions.
So you actually address it, so you can address it.
And the easiest way to me to remove excuses, like if you can start seeing a trend, like I didn't do this again, like I didn't call my mom again, put it on my schedule.
Yeah, you know what prevents excuses for me is scheduling my stuff and then having absolutes.
Yeah.
So if it's on my calendar, I do it. I don't allow myself not to do it. Like, I can't even fathom not doing it.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things I don't have to calendar because I've been doing them for so long that it takes a very, very, very strong excuse to break certain things. I mean, very strong. It has to be like, Jesus is coming for dinner.
Yeah.
And then I'm breaking it, you know, like, has to be very strong. But I think over time, if we run something, the more consistently we run something, the bigger the excuse has to be. Like, it has to be a really, really good one for you to break it. You know?
Yeah.
For you not to do something?
Yeah. Once you develop that into your psyche, into who you are, you know, it's like, let's say integrity, right? Let's talk about doing what you say you're going to do. Like, start small and honor that every time. Like, honor that. Like, start small. Start right there. Say, I'm going to do everything I say I'm going to do. And then start small with your mouth, right? Start very small. I'm going to X. Practice. Do it. And then go a little bit bigger and do it. And then go a little bit bigger and do it. And build that consistency over time where you are honoring what you say you're going to do. And then it will become such a habit that if you say you're going to do something, you will like lose sleep at night if you don't do it. It's like, it becomes hard to oppose.
Yeah.
You know, hard to make the excuses.
So I like that with one tweak. And this is the way I have to do business. My, addiction-riddled alcoholic mind. It's much easier for me to accomplish something if instead of saying something to myself, I say something to someone else.
Yeah.
Like me saying, I'm going to cold plunge, is much easier for me to make an excuse than if I said, George, I'm going to do it. Yeah. That's why in that message that you're giving me I came back and said, I will do it.
That's good.
Because when I do that, it means I will, unless I get the flu.
Yeah.
So that's just putting weight to our own self-accountability. And I think that's very valuable. And if I tell 100 people, it's even bigger. Yeah. Like, I might be able to disappoint that one person. They might, I know maybe I know that they're going to have grace for me.
Yeah.
Right?
There's very few people I sleep well after lying to them. The only person that I can get away with lying to is myself.
Yeah.
And still, sometimes I don't.
Yeah. But it's
So I made an excuse this morning. I did. I cold plunge every day, Monday through Friday. No bullshit. I don't take pictures of this shit because it's nothing glorious. It's just, I'm not going to take pictures of what I eat. I'm not going to take pictures when I exercise. I'm not going to take pictures of my watch when I wake up. Sorry, Jocko. I mean, it's what I do. It's normal, okay? But I did not cold plunge this morning. My excuse is valid. It's valid.
What? What's your
justified?
What's your excuse?
Well, I had to be here. I had to take my daughter to school.
She's at home. What are we doing? No. You
see? Yeah. But no, I had to take my daughter to school. So Fern and Alex were walking out to the pool. And I said, sorry guys, I can't plunge today. I'm running behind a little bit. I have to take my daughter to school. I get back home and Jamie says, oh, I texted you 45 minutes ago that Kimmy was going to go to school late today. But I allowed it to be an excuse. Didn't have to be. Yeah. If I was serious about it, I could have postponed or delayed. Seriously. Yeah. If it was a big enough priority to me, this is with anything. If it was a big enough priority to me, I could have pushed the other thing back and done it, right? Not made an excuse, right? So we make excuses for things that we don't necessarily prioritize as highly as other things. You know.
But is it an excuse, or at that point are you taking care of a priority? You know?
Well, that priority become the excuse. So it's both. I mean, I could have done both if I wanted to do both.
Okay.
Do you realize that?
Yes.
I could have. Now, if I was meeting the President of the United States at 9 o'clock, like, shit, no, I'm not cold plunging. I'm not going to call him and be like, hey, it's going to be 9:15, sir. But I could have with my child in her school. It's a small private school. There's like 150 kids there. They don't care. Like I said, hey, Kelly's going to be late. Okay. Right? There would have been no consequence, right?
Yeah.
So it was an excuse.
Well, you're in luck today. A couple more hours of the snowing. He was
No,
late
he just has to
outside.
go to this one over
Yeah,
here.
right there.
You know how
We can film it.
yeah, so we can be like, no, he doesn't make excuses. CEO and founder strong.
That'll be a different. Won't be on the podcast.
I love being an example though.
It is.
Like when it comes to like human nature, I'm human and I love to be an example. I am like as hard as I war against the temptations of my flesh, right? Like I'm human and I like to share that aspect. You know?
Yeah.
I do. I like to share that.
I think that aspect is important. If not, you and
I battle every day just like everyone else.
if not, it becomes social media, and then you just see the pretty things,
Yeah.
and there's nothing on the back end. There's no
Right.
struggle. There's not. You got that car just because. You got that house just because. I don't
You
think.
don't think that like when I see a buttery cinnamon roll that I don't like want to lick it. Right? I'm sorry. I have to be funny a little bit. But yeah.
They're trying.
The temptation is there. The excuse, the temptation to make excuses are there. I just find that the more consistently I do something, the easier it is to not excuse it. Like if every day I hang my keys on the key rack, right? Every day. I've done it for 10 years. It's not real hard to not make an excuse.
Yeah.
To make an excuse if it's that, right?
So that falls into, I guess, the pyramid of your daily like tasks, because you have ideas; those are easy to make excuses for, right? Plans, that's a little more difficult to make excuses for. Habits, that's almost like and you have to put effort into
To make an excuse.
creating those.
Yeah, so that's how you bulletproof your effing life.
So if you want to bulletproof it, you gotta move those things down the ladder. If you like an idea, make it a plan.
Y'all, I have got some bulletproofing that I've done over the last 7 years. Like, there's a system that I run that it is, like, it takes an act of God to knock me off of it. Truthfully.
Yeah.
There's certain things that I know put me in optimal performance, for being able to serve and do what I do. And I run it because it's like if I don't know, man. It's like I've just forced myself to have that consistency for so long that it's become a habit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's hard to get to, right?
Yeah.
You have to first start by planning that out and then making it happen.
Well, this has been a process over years.
Yeah.
And it started with one thing.
Yeah.
And then once I mastered that, when it became that one thing became habit, I added 2 things. And then once those 2 things became habit, I added 3 things. Once those 3 things became habit, I added 4. I've got like 7 things that I do that are habitual, that are absolutes, that are non-negotiables.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about it. Like if I fall off, like I'm miserable. It's like,
Yeah.
it's real easy to go right back.
For me, it's the way I think.
Yeah.
That's my thing that I can't step away from. It's just I am constantly dissecting interactions and thoughts. I have a thought, and then I'm like, well, what relates to that? Let me tie this to other things. What are some quotes on that? Let me pull up some quotes. What are some other people's thoughts who have been successful? Some notable thinkers, if you will, and I constantly dissect things, and that's hard. Like it's great for my professional career. but it crosses that line. So I gotta dial it in to where at 11 o'clock at night, I'm not doing that because then I don't sleep.
Your brain needs to shut up.
Yeah, but that also me dialing it in it takes effort.
Yeah, it does.
You know,
Yeah.
and I've had, several times in my career where I've made excuses, good and bad. I remember even as a leader, I would catch myself making excuses like, "Oh, they need me there. I'll be there because they need me there." When really all they needed was me to let go, me to let them be. But my fear, my ego, made an excuse like, I need to be there for them, rather than
Right.
my humility coming out and saying, they got it. I've taught them what they need to know. They got it from me.
Yeah. It's good words.
Also, when I think of excuses, this is a terrible one.
You said something about socks, but I thought you were going to say something about something else.
No, I know. I had to work on that.
I was like, socks?
Have you ever heard that quote?
No.
Okay. So I made an excuse some years back. I think it was quite a while ago. It must have been 2015, maybe. I was talking to some Marines one day, and these young officers who were big into investing, they wanted to get big from investing, so they could go surf or towel each other off or whatever officers do.
George, you need to smile. Towel each other off.
I don't know what that is.
Like dry each other off with towels. But they're like, you gotta invest in this crypto and this crypto. They're about to take off. They're about to take off.
Yeah.
And I remember I'm on duty and I'm like, wow, let me go look at this. Let me do this. What's $500? To drop into an investment. And I went in and clicked on it.
Are you a millionaire now and you didn't tell us?
No. I would be, except for excuses.
Okay.
And Ethereum and XRP, whatever, Ripple or whatever it was that they were talking about, they were still under $1 a piece, and I was looking at those things. One of them was like single digit cents. And I was looking at those things, and I went to go put in my credit card or debit card to make the transaction, and it gave me an error. And I'm like, I'll come back to it. And I didn't come back to it until
Ethereum was like, what, 16 G's?
Yeah, crazy. And Ripple, it's not high now, but it went up. Ultimately, had I been like, all right, refresh, let me do it again, or wait until I got home because I was on a work computer, and try it on a non-government computer, I probably would have had no problems.
Yeah.
But I didn't follow.
Does that make you want to drown yourself in that lake?
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably should.
So now that's why he's on a podcast.
Yeah. Now I'm podcasting, I also remember as a young PFC in the Marine Corps, sitting in a barracks room with my buddy, and this is, early 2000s, like if you had a computer in your barracks room, you were doing good.
Pants, yeah.
Yeah. So everybody, first was a TV you were supposed to get, and then maybe a computer. I was in there, and me and my buddy were drinking beer, and we talked for a long time about investing in Google, and we did it.
You did not do
We
it.
did not do it.
So cool.
Every time you get an idea about investing, man, you need to tell me. I just put $20 into it. I'm not playing like.
Oh, man. Well, I'm no investing guru. These are all things that someone else told me. They're just opportunities, and that's what excuses take away from you, is opportunities.
They do. They kill opportunities.
Kill opportunities. Because you don't know what the opportunity that comes from everything. You can make a simple excuse like, hey, I know you have something to tell me. I'll come back later because I'm busy. Or you could say like, you know what, hey, loaded up front the important stuff. I gotta go. If I need to follow up later after you tell me, I will. But tell me what you got. You know,
Yeah.
that person may have the opportunity. Hey, we just dug up $7 million that you were missing. Like, do you want it back? You know?
Yeah.
That person could be this person saying, hey, I have a contractor looking for what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to talk to him?
So there's something else though that excuses damage more than just opportunity.
What's that?
Damage your character, your reliability.
Your face.
Yeah, buddy. And no one's ever going to tell you. They will just stop inviting you and stop relying on you, stop including you, stop depending on you, stop respecting you.
Yeah.
How do you get that back?
It just takes, to me, showing up
Yeah.
and creating no expectations in return.
Yeah.
You know?
So if someone makes excuses and you're a leader, how much responsibility are you going to give that person knowing that they just make excuses all the time? I mean, you can battle them in their excuses, but do you really want to?
No.
Hell no.
No. It's
Right?
inefficient.
You're just going to you're just going to not utilize them, right?
Yeah.
You're going to say, well, I guess this guy takes out the trash because he's going to make excuses for everything that's harder than that,
Yeah.
right? And then you've got the guy that has never made an excuse. And you're like, hey, I need a skyscraper built. And he's like, roger that. And he freaking makes it happen.
Yeah. It deteriorates credibility.
Yeah.
Absolutely destroys credibility.
Excuse. Oh, I can't make it today.
So to me, credibility is not hard to get from zero. But when you're in the negative, it is exponentially harder. It is exponentially harder to come back to zero, to then start again. You know, and that is something that some people may be in that position now that are listening to this. And if they are, call me. I can help you figure it out. But it's not going to be fun. Because the biggest step you have to take is own it. You know, if you're not willing to say, I apologize for that, and
You can't fix it.
yeah, you're working that, you know, you're working for a further point to get back to
So how many times can you apologize for someone? This is
before it's empty. Yeah,
pound second.
yeah,
I clean that up.
yeah. The sand is good.
Pound the same.
Yeah, there's not a number. I mean, it depends on the relationship, right? I know my wife, I've apologized to her who knows how many times in our marriage. But it takes all the other efforts.
That's what I was gonna say. But how much are you you keep pouring into that relationship all the time? That when the apology comes, it's one, and you put in 100. Like you take one, and you put in 100, and then you put another 100, and then you take one.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more a different time of in the relationship. Like that takes time. That takes. At some point, you have to understand that she apologized also. You know.
Yeah.
So it's trust. It's
And the worst thing you can do when fighting back in credibility, is create expectations for other people. Because if you start, you know, putting in those 100-time efforts into building that, and you expect something in return, you're not going to get it.
plus
You shouldn't expect it.
plus you can't get better because then you're expecting something from someone just because you're putting it in.
Well, that's what expectations are. Is they're just predetermined resentments. When I create an expectation someone's going to do something, unless I've told them what I expect of them, then I am just deciding what I'm going to be mad about later.
Yes.
You know, if I don't tell my kids,
You
then
do not communicate.
every morning you're going to make your bed, and then I walk in and say, "Why didn't you make your bed?" I just determined when I created that expectation and didn't tell them that that's going to be an issue.
Now that I've been this past week that I've been working with Gerardo every day I've been working with him, right? And as I told you, the culture over there, it's not understanding, you know, with how people work. And I'm not gonna get mad at you if I haven't told you or taught you how to do it.
Yeah.
You can just tell me. There was one day that he was struggling with something, And he's like, I'm just thinking about some person, and he was having like a personal issue. And I'm like, you can just tell me, and then I understand exactly why.
Yeah.
Like, like just going through that process allows us to stop creating excuses and understanding people. And communicating helps us a lot to achieve the actual result. If not, 10 million excuses can be created.
Otherwise, just uninformed empathy. Like, how do you empathize with somebody if you don't know what they're going through?
You can't.
You're just guessing.
You're guessing. You're trying to plug the holes.
And I don't like to guess where I'm putting my empathy. There's some assumptions I can make. If I'm driving down the street and I see a guy on the side of the road holding a sign, he's in a rough spot. But for the most part, I have to ask questions and listen, understand, in order to have that true, genuine empathy for somebody. And that once you have that kind of relationship, it's like what's that word? It's like it means 1 + 1 = 3. Fusion, synchronization, whatever the word is. It just multiplies your efforts. It's like our team together, us three. As individuals, we are all one. But you add 1, 1, 1. To me, when we're together, we're a 4.
That was nice.
Despite some of our members.
You looked at him and he looks at me. At you.
I just deflected it.
Yeah.
Ooh, Iceland.
That was fast. I was like, whoa.
That's so funny.
That was funny. So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on excuses?
I've shared quite a few. I have quite a few more. I was getting engaged into your empathy conversation and distracted from the main theme. What's I was going to ask you, like, what is the number one excuse that kept you in alcoholism?
I always made a reason for why I drank. It was always because I had a tough week. Because it's easier for me to process my emotions. What it was really was like, how do I turn off everything? Because I never learned any skills to overcome those, to deal with those emotions. No coping skills. So that became my coping skill. But it was always an excuse of like, I need this. I'll be better. I'll be better for the week once I.
It was always stress for me.
Yeah.
I would always make an excuse because I was under stress. Right?
Yeah.
And I just got so much pressure on my shoulders. Pop. And I had to eliminate all those excuses.
Yeah.
So I've been on a war against excuses for many years. And I'm sure you have as well. And I think once you engage in that war of excuses, you cannot help but become better. Mm-hmm. I think it's the consequence. You go to war against excuses and you come out a better man.
Yeah.
It's a fact. You come out a better freaking man. I don't want to take out the trash cans tonight because I've done a lot of work today.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an excuse? Yes. Take the fucking trash cans out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to repair the gate on my house because I do everything else. Is that an excuse? Repair the gate.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. If we go on a war against excuses, we're going to come out with it. We're going to be tired, but justifiably tired. Reasonably tired.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have, when was it? About 3 weeks ago when we were talking, you were like on the whatever it takes part. Remember that we were talking and you're like, I don't expect people to be like me, but I'm a man that does whatever it takes so that I can get to the result. That was, sometimes I used to fake that I was doing whatever it took.
Right.
It's like, I tried, I tried. And then another thing that believe for you now it's subconscious, but for me it's like going through my routine in the morning and having my habits allows my negotiating process with myself to be stronger. So then when it has to do with you have to go and finish the video today, I'll find a reason to not do it because I've been working, right?
Yeah.
Yet I'm like, okay, you said whatever it takes, and then you start telling yourself how to do it. Yesterday I had to take my excuse out by bringing Brooke. She was gonna come to the house, and I'm like, go out here to the pool with me, because if you are there, I'm gonna get in. There's no way I'm showing you that I cannot get in. Like just finding ways to defeat those excuses and to overcome those obstacles, and having a whatever it takes mentality doesn't mean that it's gonna happen tomorrow, but how can I get to that point?
Yeah.
So that was pretty big for me because it allowed me to see things in a different fashion. The only way that I had been competitive before was in sports, so I was just doing my thing, and if I cover the receiver, I'm good. Like if the other people are not doing their job, what can I do?
Yeah.
But like right now, even though I'm in a team, it's like, what do I need to do to make this thing move forward? So it's just changing the mindset and thinking more of how can I make it happen, not just this is what's in my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that mindset of whatever it takes, that's dangerous. You understand that, right? Do you really understand how dangerous that is?
Well, I do not.
You do not? So if you make an effort to honor your word, honor your commitments, whatever it takes, what happens at the end of a 16-hour day when you realize that you committed to doing something that morning? And now it's 9:30 p.m. And if you don't get to bed, you might fail tomorrow, right? And if you're going to do whatever it takes to honor your commitments, to be a man of integrity, you do the thing at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And then it takes you till 1 o'clock in the morning. And then you only sleep from 1 to 5. And then you get up the next day, and you still got to honor your commitments because you're doing whatever it takes, right?
Yes.
And then at the end of Thursday, it all is compounding. And then you have a Friday scheduled out, and you run it too. And then what happens at the end of Friday? When you're like, can barely crawl through the door of your house.
Family needs you.
You understand? It is dangerous.
But
So
I don't know.
what it does though is it forces you to be more strategic, and it forces you to only do the things that are the most important. It forces you to be more strategic.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to do whatever it takes, that means everything you say, everything you commit, everything you do it. And you make sure it's successful no matter what. So you better be very selective on what you do. Does that make sense? Very selective on what you do.
Yeah. So you have to put more into it than whatever it takes, right? Because whatever it takes means I'm willing to sacrifice anything
Whatever,
else.
that's everything, gentlemen.
But whatever it takes without affecting my family, without affecting my home life, whatever it takes, as long as I get my number one priorities for the day done. Because I'll tell you, I've seen it time and time again where I've gone into meetings and we outlined what the priorities were, and nothing anybody said during those meetings did not go on the priority list. You know what happens when everything's a priority?
Nothing's up here.
Nothing's a priority. You just came out of it with everybody knowing all the things they didn't do before they came to the meeting.
I didn't know that until I started looking at my task list. So I've gone through this process, right? And now with working with Chad, working with you, like there's a lot of things that we have to make. And everything seems urgent. But what I've done is like I put everything down, and then I take of that list 5 tasks out. and these are the 5 tasks I'm gonna finish. I'm not adding anything until I finish those.
Yep.
And then I rotate, and I know I've noticed that at that point, obviously the whole list doesn't get done one day, but this list is getting done.
Yeah.
You know.
So you're doing the back end work, because the last thing you want to do. So I think 2 biggest things to combat excuses are schedules and accountability. Bottom line, like you can do all the work you want to do, but if it starts simple. Like I start to make an excuse on why I can't do something right now. Let me open my calendar.
Yeah.
If I can't do it right now, if I truly can't do it, when am I going to do it today? Oh, go figure. I can do it right now.
What about just looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, quit being a bitch?
Yeah, I do that a lot.
That method works pretty good for me.
Yeah. I'm not always in the mirror. Most times when I'm driving.
I glare at myself. I'm like, hey, mother effer, you got work to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a pretty powerful method.
But that's good, because you're holding yourself accountable.
Hold my own head under the water.
Yeah.
You just got to make sure on the back end to come back around and be like, you're the man.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
Or have people that love you that tell you that you're, you know, I appreciate that today you went out and figured it out. I love it.
Yeah, that's
Like-
nice, but you can't.
No, I'm not
need
saying
it
that I'm
alone.
expecting it, but for me, that's so amazing. I'm like, dude, this is someone else. You know, like I get to enjoy that. Because since the last conversation, I'm pretty careful because sometimes I do get my ego pretty high.
Yeah.
Thinking
Feel
that
dangerous.
I got it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the man. And then I'm like, hey, chill, dude.
Yeah.
You know, it's a process. But I like how everyone is able to deal with their excuses and that we all have them. You know. And it's really nice to learn from you guys. Conclusion on excuses. Anything that you want to add?
Yeah, so I think excuses take away opportunity. And we don't always know what opportunity it's taking away. Sometimes it's that hidden opportunity that we need. So when we allow excuses to take hold, one, we set the precedent. We decided that that's okay. And 2, we took away an opportunity. And so it takes an effort every day to sit down, analyze, look at your schedule, put things on your schedule to eliminate excuses.
Yeah.
Now, they're never going to go away completely.
But no, that should be the war.
Yeah. But you can get better.
Yeah, you can.
And as long as in eliminating excuses, you don't lower your standards, you're going to be all right. So, I know we'll talk about it more tonight. Hopefully some people get some stuff out of the class we teach tonight. And it'll be up on the website for people to check out the class, for anybody who isn't able to be there tonight, for any of the members. I also want to invite everybody to go check out Live Maverick, the apparel section of the website. That way
Let's go.
they can see some of the new offerings, get hoodies for this cold weather. It's snowing outside.
This cold weather.
This cold weather. It's hoodie weather.
It's hoodie weather.
Go get your hoodies.
I need to go get my hoodie, actually.
Yeah.
I'll go get one for the Net podcast.
Well,
Yes, sir. But
as always, I love you guys.
I love you
Yeah.
too. It's really nice to chat.
One of the highlights of my week.
Absolutely.
It is.
I really enjoy it. I dread it, and then I enjoy it.
Yeah. I'm glad I was here.
You feel better. I see it.
It does. I don't know what happened.
It's
Magic.
flow.
Love.
Got it in flow.
Guys, thank you for listening. Have a great day.
Oh, I feel so much worse right now.
Now you feel worse?